like a bird than a person. Well, I've been with you all for a few days here at our Naperville Center in anticipation of Balaram's appearance day. We've been speaking about the pastimes of Balaram, both in Brindavan and in Dwarka, out of Brindavan, which is very appropriate, following in the footsteps of our great acharyas. I mentioned that Rupa Goswami, maybe there's some new people here that don't know who is Rupa Goswami, the next in line in disciplic succession following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Rupa Goswami. And he wrote a number of literatures, primarily on the way of devotional service, the science of bhakti, bhakti rasa, amrita, sindhu, the ocean of the nectar of devotion. But he also wrote dramas, which have now been translated into English from the Sanskrit that he wrote them in. He was planning just to write a drama about Krishna's pastimes, but he became inspired in a dream when traveling to visit Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Brindavan to Puri. He passed through a town in Orissa called Satyabhamapur. And he spent the evening in Satyabhamapur, and at night Satyabhama appeared to him in a dream. And he very clearly understood it was Satyabhama, who had instructed him to divide his drama into two. Of course, Satyabhama is one of the most elevated and revered queens of Krishna and Dwarka. So divide that drama into Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, Krishna's pastimes out of Vrindavan. Later, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirmed that's what he wanted, without Rupa Goswami disclosing this dream. So he took it. This is confirmation. Two things. Lord Chaitanya is omniscient, and Lord Chaitanya wants me to make two dramas. So he made two dramas, Lalita Madhava and Vidagdha Madhava. Very, very beautiful, very, very profound, quite mystical. Someday when we become elevated devotees, we can read that literature. And in third canto Srimad Bhagavatam, I made mention, I'll encourage all of you again to read Canto 3, chapters 2 and 3. This is Uddhava speaking about Krishna. It's not a drama, he's just speaking about Krishna. It's 2 chapters of just Krishna, 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 Krishna. And it starts with Krishna, and then it's Krishna in Vrindavan and Krishna out of Vrindavan. So like that we've been doing here, morning speaking about Krishna in Vrindavan, and the evening speaking about Krishna out of Vrindavan or in Dwarka. No, the other way around. So this is more in honor of Lord Balaram, just a general appreciation and glorification of Lord Balaram. When you see pictures of Balaram, sometimes artists, earlier artists, it's hard to tell, like the images of the 10 principal avatars, Das Avatar. So we know who they are by what they're carrying in their hand. When you see the avatar with a bow in one hand and arrows in the other, we know who that is. Lord Ramachandra. We see one of the avatars with a chopper in his hand. I know that is Parshuram. One who's holding a kamandalu and wearing a Brahmin thread, that's Vamana, dwarf Vamana. With a peacock feather and holding his flute, unmistakably, that's Krishna. And so forth. The forms of the Leela avatars are very, very distinguishable by the implements in their hand. And so as we see here, the plow in the hand of Balaram indicates it's Balaram. In fact, one of his names is Haladar. We're going to hear the song of Jayadev Goswami glorifying. As we sing our Nrsimha prayers, he sang prayers in glorification of the Leela avatars, including Haladara Rupa, carrying the hala, or the plow. Just as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter that describes the occupation of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas and Shudras, when describing the occupation or the character of the Vaishya, it's three. Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijam. Goraksha, we know, that's cow protection. So Krishna carries the flute and also buffalo horn because when he plays upon the flute, he's calling the cows. He has a very special flute. It doesn't just make a nice flute sound, but it calls the names of the groups of cows. He's a very talented flute player, and it's a very special flute. And Balaram or Haladar carries the hala or the plow for Krishi, agriculture, plowing the field to grow grains. And then the two, the products of agriculture and the products of cow, is Vanijam, the trade and commerce of that which is produced from the land and from cows. Some of you may know over the Labor Day weekend, we're going to be conducting a very interesting, one of its kind conference on exploring Varnishram. Varnishram. So one of the speakers was given the assignment. His name is Tukaram Prabhu. He's the president of the Laguna Beach Temple. He has one of his many unique characteristics is he's super good at research, like overwhelmingly thorough, enough that you just like, all right. But he's very conscientious to not just take an idea and find quotes that match that idea. He does what he calls a 360. Chronologically, what did Prabhupada say on a particular topic, and what are things on this side and what are things on that side? It's really comprehensive. So he gave me a little summary that when Prabhupada began speaking of Varnishram, in the middle when he was speaking about Varnishram, and particularly at the end when he was speaking about Varnishram, it meant, explicitly he said, living off the land and the cow, providing one's economic necessities, maintaining the body by what is produced from the land and the cow. That's it. Varnashram implies a social structure. Krishna speaks of it in Bhagavad Gita. And that social structure is part of the fabric of Vedic culture. How to do it is a big question. So it's never really gotten very far. But those who, if you don't attend, there'll be videos made of this seminar. And it's as you say, those people from India that come to America, a phrase that I've heard is, it's an eye-opener. Common phrase. That's going to be an eye-opener kind of sharing. So Krishna Balaram. Krishna with his flute, Balaram with his plow. Cow protection and agriculture. And Vanijam, Vanik, mercantile person, a businessman. And economy, Vedic economy, and even, the beginning of America economy, and go to China, their whole economy also was almost entirely agrarian-based. Something happened. And now they have, a booming economy with booming air pollution. Water pollution, insufficient resources, not a happier people. But anyway, big economy. And it's not Krishi Gorakshavanijam, something else. But Balaram is depicted this way, sometimes carrying his club and sometimes carrying his plow. So now just some introduction to glories and significance of Lord Balaram. Prabhupada writes in chapter 2 of Krishna book. Chapter 2 of Krishna book corresponds with the prayers of the demigods to Lord Krishna in the womb. Canto 10, chapter 2. Here's a nice quote. One cannot attain the supreme platform of self-realization without being sufficiently favored by Balaram. Bala does not mean physical strength. One must have the spiritual strength, which is infused by Balaram or Sankarshana. You're going to hear these terms a little bit more as we go along. A part of our Hare Krishna Mahamantra, 50% of it is Rama. We hear so much about Krishna. So Balaram's appearance day is a nice opportunity to do the other half. I'm grateful to have spent 3 days just doing Rama, Rama, Rama. Rama, Rama, Rama. Now, some people argue. No. Yes. It's Kali Yuga. Some people argue Bala Rama, this Rama refers to Balaram. Others say, no, it refers to Ramachandra. So Prabhupada addresses this in Chaitanya Charitamrita writing, as you see. If someone says that Rama in Hare Krishna or Hare Rama is Lord Ramachandra, and someone else says that the Rama is in Hare Rama is Sri Balaram, both are correct. Because there is no difference between Sri Balarama and Lord Rama. Then he explains from the verse itself, citing the Bengali. Here in Chaitanya Charitamrita we find that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has stated the same conclusion. In whatever form one knows the Lord, one speaks of him in that way. In this there is no falsity, since everything is possible in Krishna. And then next paragraph. If someone calls Lord Ramachandra by the vibration Hari Rama, understanding it to mean, oh, Lord Ramachandra, he is quite right. Similarly, if one says that Hari Rama means, oh, Sri Balarama, he is also right. Those who are aware of the Vishnu Tattva do not fight over these details. So a little sharing. I think it was 2 years ago. I was in Houston, Texas for Balaram's appearance day. And there was a lot of, as I've been doing here, a lot of meditation on Lord Balaram. In the room where I'm staying, they have a print of this picture of pushkar painting of Krishna and Balaram. So I chanted in front of the picture, thinking of this message that I just described. And when chanting the Hari Rama portion of the Mahamantra, I started chanting with the mood, "O Lord Balaram, please give me the strength to carry out my devotional service." And I found it strengthened the quality of my chanting, in particular, the personal nature of calling to Balaram for spiritual strength. And then turn to the Krishna part of the mantra, naturally. And Krishna means the all-attractive. So the Krishna part of the mantra, looking at this nice painting, "Oh, all-attractive Krishna, please attract me to you." And then there's, expanded, "I'm very distracted. Please attract me. You're all attractive. Please attract me to you. Oh, Balaram, please give me strength to carry out my devotional service." And then just my arms were raised and just became ecstatic for 16 rounds worth of calling like that. Very, very powerful. And it's stayed with me for a long time. Of course, the Hare part, you can't leave out Radharani, by her mercy. The messages can be expanded, but just to keep them in very compact sutra form, that was the meditation. And it's been an asset for my japa for a long time. It continues to do so. I've arranged in different places where I stay a nice image. I have at my desk in Chicago and here and there, an image of this painting. So we're honoring Lord Balaram on his appearance day. Balaram, or Sankarshan, is the source of all spiritual power, or the original spiritual master. These are Prabhupada's words, verbatim. So he's already indicated he's the source of spiritual power, but also he's the original spiritual master. This is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's a whole chapter dedicated to describe his position like that. That means anyone who, in the course of the history of mankind, that has performed the function of guru, derives that position of service from Balaram, because he's the original. Prabhupada writes that the guru is either representative of Balaram or of Srimati Radharani. Of course, Srimati Radharani gives her mercy in the form of devotional service to Krishna. Now, Balaram and the spiritual master, the original spiritual master and the spiritual master, they encourage this consciousness of serving Krishna. This is also described in Chaitanya Charitamrita about Balaram. He is the source of the mood of service for all living entities. In fact, he's so into service to Krishna that's a little esoteric, but he manifests an aspect of him or a feature of him in all of the 5 rasas. How does that work? According to scripture, Balaram manifests all of Krishna's paraphernalia and Krishna's abode. The place of Krishna's pastimes and the implements of Krishna's service. just like the mridanga over here. A little story. When Prabhupada came, of course, he didn't come across the Jaladuta with mridanga. And so he had kartals, and he used kartals, and when the devotees started going back and forth to India, he described what a mridanga is and told them to bring one. So the story that I heard from devotees that were present is the first mridanga that came from India, Prabhupada was in Los Angeles. And the devotee was very enthusiastic that mridanga didn't break in the course of travel. And he brought it to Prabhupada. And when he brought it into Prabhupada's quarters, some of you have been in Los Angeles and have seen Prabhupada's quarters, not a big place. He brought it into Prabhupada's quarters and held it like this. Prabhupada immediately got from behind his little desk and paid his obeisances to the mridanga. And he took his uttariya, the upper cloth, off the mridanga and very lovingly, like a baby, wrapped the mridanga in the cloth and said, the mridanga is to be respected as Krishna's paraphernalia, non-different than Krishna, Balaram. So one devotee started making fiberglass mridangas because it was a lot easier than, at that time at least, than bringing and then shipping mridangas from Los Angeles. Ratnabhushana is the devotee's name. So Prabhupada named it Balaram Mridanga. So that's the label on the mridangas, Balaram, because it's Balaram. In fact, all the paraphernalia used in deity worship, it's manifestation of Balaram. So this is the relationship of neutrality. Balaram likes to serve Krishna in any circumstance. We described different pastimes where he just took that role. Because he was brother, they were in a relationship of friendship, and because he was the elder brother, in certain ways he took kind of like a protective role towards Krishna and some mix of parental affection. And even in the conjugal relationship, Balaram assists Krishna in his pastimes as Ananga Manjari. Ananga Manjari is the younger sister of Radharani. Radharani has a brother and a younger sister. So that Ananga Manjari is an expansion of Lord Balaram, who assists in Krishna's conjugal pastimes. The photograph is a photograph of deities of Radha Gopinath at the Radha Gopinath temple, and to the right side of Gopinath is Ananga Manjari, who's an expansion of Balaram. So he's into service in all of the rasas, in any possible way. He loves serving Krishna. Prabhupada would say, there's no difference between Krishna and Balaram except Balaram is white and Krishna is blackish. Now there's another difference, and that is Balaram likes to serve. He's also the Supreme Lord. It's a little mysterious that he also likes to serve. He always takes the position of serving Krishna and is the constant companion of Krishna. In addition to his plow, there's this other instrument that he uses for agriculture, for plowing the field. Now I'm going to show you first, there's this slide from the Dasavatar Stotra, and the next slide is the same as this one except it's music. But I'm showing you this slide first because you can follow along and sing along if you like, but the singers add Keshava's name a number of times. Keshava, Vahasi, Vapushi, Vishade, O Keshava, etc. Just so get ready to put Keshava's name in a number of times as they sing along. Okay?
Shiva Pushi Vishade Keshava Vasanam Jaladabham Keshava Bhaka Shiva Pushi Vishade Keshava Vasanam Jaladabham.
What are you going to do? Well, it's not going to come out of here. It's going to come out of whatever you've got going on over there. Can you make that volume go up?
Shiva Pushi Vishade Keshava Vasanam Jaladabham Keshava Bhaka Shiva Pushi Vishade Keshava Vasanam Jaladabham Keshava Halahati Bhiti Vinitaya Munabham Halahati Shiva Pushi Vishade Keshava Vasanam Jaladabham Keshava Bhaka Shiva Pushi Vishade Keshava Vasanam Jaladabham Keshava Halahati Bhiti Vinitaya Munabham Halahati Bhiti
So we'll read the translation. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Balaram, the wielder of the plow, that's Haladara. All glories to you. On your brilliant white body, you wear garments the color of a fresh rain cloud. These garments are colored like the beautiful dark hue of the river Jamuna, who feels great fear to the striking of your plowshare. So this is referring to a pastime that Balaram performed. We all know Krishna and Balaram were taken from Brindavan to Mathura by Akrura. And after killing Kamsa, they stayed in Mathura for some time. Now Mathura is not so far from Vrindavan. And Balaram, because he was with Krishna in Vrindavan, he understood that the residents of Vrindavan were feeling incredible pain of separation from Krishna. So Balaram went to Vrindavan to pacify them. And he spent a long time in Vrindavan. And one of the things that he did while in Vrindavan is he engaged in rasa dance with a different set of gopis than the gopis that Krishna engaged in rasa dance. And dancing, 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 he liked also Varuni beverage. Varuni beverage is likened to honey. So in many of our temples, on Balaram's appearance day, one of the things you have to offer to the deities is honey, because Balaram likes honey. And as he was drinking so much Varuni beverage, he became apparently, externally at least, like intoxicated. His eyes rolling, and he then wanted to take his bath in the river Jamuna, and he requested the river Jamuna to come, and river Jamuna didn't come. Who's this intoxicated fellow? So Balaram took his plow and began dragging the river Jamuna towards him. And then Jamuna personified realized, uh-oh. So she came forward, falling at the feet of Lord Balaram, offering her prayers of repentance, the beautiful paintings, the words that she spoke to Lord Balaram. So that song by Jayadev Goswami mentions this pastime in particular. And there's other circumstances where, other than for plowing the field, Balaram used his plow in other ways. We described this pastime in the morning of the evening. His using his plow to drag the entire city of Hastinapur towards the river when Duryodhana refused to give back Samba, who was in prison. Long story. Powerful. Balaram uses his strength as required. Now, there's a nice little story that I heard from Tamal Krishna Maharaj a number of times. One time there was riding in a car with Prabhupada from Mayapur to Calcutta, and in the front seat were the driver and Giriraj Maharaj, and in the back seat was Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Prabhupada. So Prabhupada called Giriraj Maharaj in the front seat, who is stronger, Krishna or Balaram? And Giriraj Maharaj said, Krishna is stronger. He said, why do you say that? He said, because Balaram is leaning on the shoulder of Krishna. So Krishna is stronger. Now when Krishna and Balaram, commonly when we think of or hear about Krishna and Balaram, we hear about them in their pastimes in Brindavan. So I spent some time in the evening class describing, but here's a little more detail. Brindavan is very intimate. Predominating in Krishna's pastimes in Brindavan is sweetness, madhurya. Not just madhurya rasa as in conjugal rasa, but in all the rasas, sweetness predominates. There's an intimacy of exchange between Krishna and the cowherd boyfriends, Krishna and the cows, Krishna and the peacocks, Krishna and the trees, Krishna and Mother Jasoda, the kind of intimacy between Krishna and Mother Jasoda that even Kunti can't. She can't even begin to understand the nature of that intimate love between them. So to explain that, Prabhupada would sometimes tell the story of William Gladstone. Now, William Gladstone was a Prime Minister of India. He served as the Prime Minister for 4 terms. No one else has ever done that. He was a very popular guy. Powerful. administrator. So the story that Prabhupada liked to tell, I heard it many times. There was a gentleman that had an appointment with the Prime Minister, Mr. Gladstone. And so he came at the appointed time to the office, and he was told by the secretary, Prime Minister Gladstone is busy now, he's occupied, you just have to wait. So that happens when you go to see a big person, you have to wait. So the way that Prabhupada told the story, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a half an hour and a half. And the man that was waiting for Mr. Gladstone got restless. The secretary was looking in the other direction, so he snuck in to see Prime Minister Gladstone. And when he went in, the grandson was on the shoulders of the Prime Minister playing horsey, slapping him in the side and saying, get up, get up. And Prime Minister Gladstone was laughing and laughing. He was too busy to meet the person who had an appointment with him, because for Gladstone, that was more important than meeting somebody that had some issue to bring to his attention. So in the same way, Prabhupada described the pastimes of Krishna in Brindavan are like that. It's Krishna in his intimate exchanges of love that ordinary people don't have access to and ordinary people can't understand. But the happiness derived by Krishna in those exchanges surpass like anything. The reverential hymns of the Vedas being sung by excellent brahmanas and so many other kinds of comparisons. Krishna's just, that's nice, but it's not the same. There's something very, very special about the intimacy of Krishna's exchanges in Vrindavan. I quoted this verse spoken by Shukadeva Goswami. Prabhupada often just quoted this part, Krita Punya Punja, but he also, on many occasions, quoted the whole thing. Itam satam brahma sukhanu bhrutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena. Then he would go off and say something and then continue with the rest of the verse. Maya shratanam naradarakena sakam vijaru krita punya punja. Then he would say it again, krita punya punja, krita punya punja. The verse is by Shukadeva Goswami describing the pastimes with cowherd boys, saying, translation, here is the Supreme Person who is considered the impersonal Brahman by great sages, the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotees, and a product of material nature by ordinary men. Now these boys who have performed many, many pious activities in their past lives are playing with that Supreme Personality of Godhead. So again, this image we discussed. Dhruva Maharaj went in and became ecstatic seeing the form of Lord Vishnu. Kardama Muni became ecstatic and fell to the ground like a stick, seeing the form of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu, in a tone that was like a rumbling sound, spoke to him. And then he disappeared, and that was it. The cowherd boys are playing with him, and tumbling with him, and joking with him, and just doing playful things like little boys will do. They would have lunch, one of their pastimes, there's a nice painting of this. They would take things from their lunch and ask Krishna, close your eyes, we'll put something in your mouth, and you tell us what it is without looking at it. Like little boys. And sometimes when Krishna's mouth was open, they'd take a flower and put a flower in Krishna's mouth and laugh. So the very thing that we're doing right now, this Krita Punya Punja, is described in the Bhagavatam first canto. Shrinvata Sukata Krishna Punya. Same word. This question came up in the evening class yesterday. Why this word punya, Krita Punya Punja? How can you become a cowherd boy by piety? It's a different kind of piety. It's this kind. The piety of hearing Krishna Katha, just as we're doing now. Maybe we'll become cowherd boys. Maybe we become gopis. Maybe we become residents of Brindavan. But how does one become eligible? Lifetimes and lifetimes and mountains and piles of punya, but the transcendental kind. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Just as we're doing in honor of Balaram's appearance day. Their messages, when properly heard and chanted, are in themselves, they bring spiritual merit. One becomes decorated with spiritual qualification just by doing what we're doing now. And that spiritual qualification carries you into Krishna's pastimes with him. Hearing about Krishna's pastimes carry you into Krishna's pastimes with the merit. It's the best gift you can give to somebody. So now we'll just discuss a little bit about the appearance of Balaram and Krishna. This is a very ancient painting, artistry-wise, where Mother Earth in the form of a cow, just as we'll hear in Janmashtami time, approached the demigods. The earth is overburdened with demoniac kings. Please give me some relief. So they went to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma took them all to the ocean of milk. And there, in the island in the middle of the ocean of milk, was Lord Vishnu, along with the goddess of fortune and Garuda and his various paraphernalia. And he confirmed, yes, I'll come. I'll make my appearance on earth and relieve earth of the burden of demoniac kings. First, however, the demigods should take birth on earth, and they can then assist me in my pastimes. So Krishna took his birth, and this is the bathing ceremony at the time of Krishna's birth. But look who's there. Even at the birth ceremony of Krishna, because he's the elder brother, he was also present. This is another painting taken after the killing of Putana. Mother Yasoda does another bathing of Krishna in a little different, interesting way. But there's Balaram, because wherever there's Krishna, there's Balaram, engaging in pastimes with Krishna. During the name-giving ceremony of Krishna and Balaram, Nanda Maharaj took the opportunity of paying his annual taxes to Kamsa to visit Gargamuni, because Gargamuni was expert, super expert, superlatively expert in the area of astrology. So the expert Gargamuni understood we can't do a normal ceremony in a public place, because if Kamsa finds out, he can do the math real fast. 2 + 2. Because you're part of the royal family, and I'm the astrologer of the royal family, we're doing this horoscope, he'll understand this is Krishna, so we'll have to do it in a secluded place. So the secluded place they selected appropriate for Krishna was a cowshed, Goshal. And when Gargamuni pronounced the names of the two boys, there's just one verse on Balaram, many on Krishna. Here's what he said about Balaram. This child, the son of Rohini, will give all happiness to his relatives and friends by his transcendental qualities. Therefore, he will be known as Rama. Hari Rama. And because he will manifest extraordinary bodily strength, he will also be known as Bala. Moreover, because he unites two families Vasudev's family. He didn't say which two families. Vasudev's family, Vasudeva and Devaki, the seventh child of Devaki, and the family of Nanda Maharaj. He became the foster father of Balaram because Rohini was in the care of Nanda Maharaj. He will be known as Sankarshana. So Balaram and Sankarshana and Baladev also. Then when he came to Krishna, there were many things he said about Krishna, but this is remembered later when Krishna started doing amazing things during his pastimes of protecting the residents of Brindavan from various demons. They were remembering Gargamuni's words that this child of yours is as good as Narayana in his transcendental qualities, opulence, name, fame, and influence. He is exactly like Narayana. He didn't say he was Narayana. And he didn't because he didn't want to disturb the love of Nanda Maharaj, who couldn't possibly see his child as Narayana because he was overwhelmed with Madhurya. So how could he have Narayana as a son? He worshipped Narayana. He had deities. But Krishna was his son. So he's indirectly hinting and disclosing he'll be exactly like Narayana. And as the two children began to grow, they had such intense affection because they're eternal associates. Who can imagine these eternal lords having forms of little boys, and how little boys show affection for one another? These paintings illustrate such love, such unrestricted expression of loving feelings for one another. Balaram, of course, having the role as the elder brother, and not just giving milk sweets to one another, but looking at each other in the eye like this. It's such a nice painting. B.G. Sharma painting. Very beautiful. And as they were doing things that little children will do, like crawling, the ladies, the elder gopis, they were so happy. They would clap and ask Krishna to crawl towards them. And Krishna would smile and paddle his way over towards them. Sometimes there were so many of the gopis wishing to play with Krishna, he would expand himself and Balaram. And they would see two Krishnas and two Balarams, but they couldn't see two. They could only see the one that they were focused upon. And the Gopas also received great happiness. They were engaged in their cow herding activities, but the loving attraction they had for Krishna, because they're pure devotees, it was the light of their life. Who can only imagine the waves of ecstatic love pouring through Brindavan by Krishna's being present? And they played like little children. They would go into the pasturing grounds and find the calves and pull the tails of the calves. And when they pulled the tails of the calves, what did the calves do? They were startled, and they started running. And Krishna was enjoying the ride, being dragged here and there. And some of the gopis were, oh, poor Krishna is in difficulty. And some were laughing. Some just continued with their butter churning. But Krishna was the center of their life. Sometimes they would come to Mother Jasoda and pull at her ornaments and pull her ear and pull her hair, just like little children will do sometimes with their mother. And Mother Jasoda was at the one time and simultaneously feigning that she was angry with them, but at the same time in the height of spiritual ecstasy. Just like little children, engaging in loving affection with their pure devotees. And of course, in Krishna's childhood pastimes, we have to speak about Krishna's affinity for stealing butter and milk products. Not just the one pastime of the Damodar Leela, but again and again and again. It was just a standard routine that he would go into the storerooms of the, not only Mother Jasoda's storerooms, but the other families' storerooms and steal. Here are the gopis coming to see what Krishna's up to. And he couldn't hide because his body was effulgent. There's this Damodar Leela with Mother Jasoda holding a little stick, seeing what Krishna was up to. The monkeys behaving not like monkeys behave, politely saying, "Please, can I have some?" No way. Because they're dear friends of Krishna also. The monkeys, the peacocks, the cuckoos. Sometimes they climbed up on grinding mortars and get on the shoulders of some of the other boys because the milk products were hung from and by ropes from the rafters in the storeroom to keep insects and other things away. So they had to climb up to get them. Here's Madhu Mangal. He's a little chubby. Krishna standing on the shoulder of Madhu Mangal. There the gopis catching Krishna in his act of stealing. Some of the gopas taking the milk, the butter and the yogurt as it's coming out of the pots. Very old painting. Here's Balaram distributing some to the monkeys. So many paintings, hundreds of paintings of this pastime of Makanchor, Krishna the stealer of butter. And not going to carry on much further because of time, but another pastime in which Balaram was engaged is specifically this pastime where Balaram accused Krishna. Mother Jasoda came to see the boys playing. And Balaram and other cowherd boys came right up to Mother Jasoda and said, "Krishna has eaten dirt." They accused him. So Mother Jasoda went to Krishna. "Have you eaten dirt?" He said, "They're liars. I haven't eaten dirt. What would I eat dirt for?" "No, I haven't eaten dirt." And they said, "Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Krishna ate dirt." So Mother Jasoda requested, "If you haven't eaten dirt, you can please then show me, open up your mouth." Very logical thing to ask. And when she looked inside Krishna's mouth, she saw the entire cosmic manifestation. Here's the place of that pastime. They've redone it a lot, but here's the cowherd boys accusing Krishna, if it's starting with Balaram and the others, Krishna's eaten dirt. Here's a close-up of that pastime. And Krishna's saying, "No, I haven't done that." Balaram said, "Yes, he's eaten dirt." Krishna has such affection for the cows. He has a number of names, Gopal, Govinda, and his whole planet is named after cows, Goloka, the planet of the cows. Krishna is a lover of cows, and the cows love Krishna. Krishna is a lover of Brindavan, and Brindavan loves Krishna, the forest of Brindavan. We're just going to go out for herding cows in one morning. Here's Mother Jasoda feeding Krishna, getting him ready, dressing Krishna, and the cowherd boys are eager. "Krishna, hurry up, let's go." Sometimes they would come in and assist in giving Krishna ornaments. Here's a whole scene, very, very beautiful painting where they're doing the dressing themselves. Balaram's ready to go. And there's a close-up, very detailed, the ornaments, the jewels and the knot at the top of Krishna's hair. Very nice painting. Sandalwood paste. In the evening sometimes when Krishna would come back, the young girls would bathe and dress Krishna. They would derive great happiness also. So when all of that business was done, Krishna heads out for herding the cows with the cowherd boys, blowing on their buffalo horns, and Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda waving as they go by, but Mother Yashoda couldn't resist. She's too attached to Krishna. She came running and would adjust his garland. Krishna would take a couple of steps and she'd stop him and say, take some extra samosas. Couple of steps, here's some extra kachoris, you might get hungry. Krishna would smile and say, Mother, I have to go now. Finally, off they go into the forest of Vrindavan, taking care of cows, enjoying their loving exchanges with one another. Krishna and Balaram, the cowherd boys, and the cows. All day long. We just discussed in the evening yesterday, simply playing. Prabhupada said, actually, they didn't herd the cows, they just played. And the cows were so attached to Krishna, they just followed Krishna wherever Krishna went. That's what the cowherd boys did. And deep into the forest of Brindavan, where every step is a dance, every song, every word is a song, and so many, many, many wonderful pastimes, including the taxing pastimes of Krishna in so many different places. It's not just one place. Krishna would enjoy his loving pastimes in Vrindavan. So now I'm just going to show you some photographs of the deities of Krishna Balaram. We did this the other day from all around the world. This is just in Brindavan. Krishna Balaram in Brindavan in different outfits. Very beautifully decorated. This is summertime where they don't have a full length on their legs. This is Chandan Yatra. Even the flute of Krishna is decorated with Chandan. Here's another year they had a darker version of the Chandan. And the little Krishna Balaram in front of them. The splendorful colors of the flowers that they offer to Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan. Very, very nicely served and decorated. Krishna likes this gorgeous decoration of flower garlands and tulsi garlands. Easy to get attached to Krishna Balaram. If you've been to Brindavan, it's really easy to get attached to Krishna Balaram and Radhashama Sundar. So if you don't want to get attached to Krishna Balaram, don't go to Brindavan. If you want to get attached to Krishna Balaram, it's a great place to go. Here's a photograph of the deities of Revati Balaram in Unchagaon. Unchagaon is the place of Lalita Saki. And the deity in the temple at Unchagaon is Revati Balaram. The story that's described in the 9th canto, he had 2 wives. So Revati was the daughter of Kukudmi. And the daughter, Revati, was so qualified, he wanted to get a very qualified husband for his daughter, so he went to Lord Brahma to appeal to Lord Brahma, please help me make some arrangement for my qualified daughter. But when he went, there was a song and dance that the Gandharvas were performing for Lord Brahma, so he had to wait. And when he finished, then Brahma came forward, yes, what is it, will you come to see me? He explained his reason for coming, and Lord Brahma just laughed and said, 27 Chatur Yogas have already passed, because time in Brahmaloka is just a short duration, but 27 cycles of the 4 ages on earth have already passed. So it was somewhere in Dwapara Yuga, said, you go back and you won't recognize anybody. Everything has changed. They won't even know your name. King Kukudmi. But my recommendation is you have your daughter married to Balaram. And when he went back, because the age had passed, the physical stature was different. Just as it's described, the physical height of people diminishes as the age passes. So Balaram was shorter. This is backwards. Balaram was shorter, so what Balaram did, he agreed, he accepted Lord Brahma's arrangement. He took his plow and tapped her shoulder, and she became the same height as him. This is what's stated in the Bhagavatam. And here's another deity of Balaram holding Varuni beverage. So this Varuni is the second wife. Besides the beverage, there was personality Varuni. And this is the last slide. In Jagannath Puri, one of the places that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went every day was the temple of Gopinath, Tota Gopinath, where Gadadhar Pandit was doing the worship. So when you go to Puri, I'm sure you'll go to the Tota Gopinath temple mainly to see Gopinath. And on the side, there's another altar of Balaram along with Revati and Varuni. These are the 2 wives. Just like Lord Nityananda had 2 wives. They're expansions of the same personality. Janava and Vasudha, the co-wives of Lord Nityananda. So some of the glories of Lord Balaram, and it's 8:45, so I think I'm going to end. That's the last slide. See if there's any questions or something somebody would like to add in appreciation of Lord Balaram. It's really nice speaking about Lord Balaram. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Very interestingly, this is Balaram's appearance day in Chicago today. Tomorrow is Lord Balaram's appearance day in New York. So tomorrow morning I have a flight to New York, and I'm going to honor Lord Balaram 2 days in a row on his appearance day. Any comments, questions? Yes?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Maharaj, you explained the significance of plow that Balaram holds. I was wondering if you could expand on the significance of club. Is it something to do with spiritual strength?
It has to do with bashing bad people. It's his astra. He used the plow also as an astra, a weapon. But the club is a weapon. It's with that weapon, if you recall, he bashed Rukmi, finished him. Vishnu carries 4 symbols, 2 for benediction, 2 for punishment. The club of Balaram is like that. Anything? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.